Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the companion video to the financial wellness article in the January issue of Kirkwood Lifestyle Magazine. I'm joined by Mr. Kraig Rehkemper and Mr. Jay Peters. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
All right, that's super. What I thought we could do today is expand a little bit on the topics that were covered in the article, right? Specifically, Kraig, money scripts or imprinting, and Jay will talk about kind of a path to financial wellness in 2024. Okay, so Kraig, let's start with you. As we saw in the article, I mean, a lot of these money scripts or imprinting are learned behavior at a relatively young age, right? And frankly, a lot of it happens when our reasoning is not fully developed and we accept what we see and witness as the ultimate truth. And the challenge is that those things kind of manifest themselves later in life in terms of subconscious decision-making, especially with money, right? Okay. Now, as we all know, Mr. Scrooge had some very significant financial scripts as it comes to money, at least in the start of the story as well as the movie. Specifically, trust issues relative to money, spending money on himself or others, really treated money as an end, not a means. And a whole host of others. And it took, in order for him to transform, it took a visit from the ghost of the past, present, future to kind of shake him into really adjusting his money scripts. And while I don't typically suggest our clients try to conjure up ghosts to address their money scripts, we get pretty involved in that. I want to talk, we can't talk about all of them. I want to talk about a couple of them with you today, Kraig, that I know you see because you work very closely with my clients in terms of how we see these things come out, examples of them, and then what we do to help.
Sure.
Let's start with a very common one that we see on a routine basis when a client, whether it's one of the spouses, sometimes both, or their partner, they feel guilty about having money.
Yeah, and so one of the ones we typically see is from clients who maybe they didn't grow up with as much as they have today, or maybe they have family members that struggled financially. They actually start to feel guilty about themselves having saved as much as they have. And so one of the things that we help them work through is, saying it's okay to be proud of what you have done and what you have accomplished. You shouldn't feel guilty about that. And, there's different ways to get around that. Sometimes we talk about maybe doing like charitable giving or volunteering around the community that helps make up for some of the guilt they may feel, but it's more of just saying it's okay, be proud for what you do have. And there's other ways to get around that to kind of help them through that, getting over that initial hump.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point because most of these are subconscious, right? And it's at least in our world, in our firm, it's on us to kind of help them root that out and have that conversation. Another one that we see all the time, and I know it drives you crazy like it drives me, particularly for my clients, you're the one handling all the financial projections, is that when someone says, I need to have more money before I retire.
Yeah, so this is a really popular one. I think the most common instance we see this is people who their parents may have grown up during the Depression. And so, by that mindset, you got to save every dollar you have, live below your means, which are all good things. Don't get me wrong. Living within your means and saving is great. But once you actually get to that point, actually being aware of, now I can actually spend some of this or maybe retire earlier than I could have. We kind of get to run these projections, and even with the most conservative estimates, things of that nature, they're always like, well, maybe I should just work one more year or, save a little extra here. And it's getting to that point of, no, actually, you can go on that extra vacation or go out to eat. It's okay. You're going to be able to be all right through retirement and getting over that initial hump of you don't have to save every dime you have for the rest of your life because you have worked so hard and your parents did instill those good savings traits in you. It's now to reap those rewards, if you will.
Right. And I would say, just to add on to that, not only we see it with children of the Depression, we see it with grandchildren of the Depression, where their grandparents taught their parents the exact same money scripts, and then that carries on to someone who's in their 50s or 60s or even mid-60s, early 70s today, right?
Yeah,
and
100%.
It can perpetuate itself, and again, it's all subconscious, and it's trying to pull that out and understand it. Lastly, there's another one that we hear all the time, and it's rooted in very good intentions, but the byproduct cannot ultimately be what a parent is looking for when they say, I want to give my kids more than what I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this kind of ties back with the first two even. So we get to, the projections. They show them that, you can retire comfortably. All of that looks great. But then the other excuse comes, well, what about my kids? What am I passing on to them? And so that's where we kind of break it down. Well, you can either give money to them after you're gone, or you can actually enjoy some of it with them now, either your kids or grandkids. And so it's also getting over that hump. Yeah, you save, that's great, but you also want to be able to enjoy that with them. It's great to leave your kids successful after you're gone, but enjoying it here in the present, they're going to get a lot more out of that than just having some money after you're gone to enjoy with them now.
Yep, and I think also what goes with that we see a lot is during the college years. Because I know that we're very strong proponents of if a kid is going to make his or her path by going to college or a trade school, we'll hear the parents say, I'm going to take care of all of it. And it's not necessarily, you're not setting your child up for the best path and best relationship with money from that perspective, which is why we really coach a shared family responsibility. But that same script can have an impact when kids are relatively young, college age, or even younger than that, buying them everything. Or when someone's retiring and they're looking at, I want to pass all this money on, I'm not going to spend it, to your point, and enjoying it with them while the parents are alive.
Right. Passing on the money scripts. You got it.
Okay. So, Jay, let's transition. Let's now, we go from kind of the money scripts and kind of rooting those out. They're important. Let's talk now about, for 2024, how we can help folks get on a path to financial wellness. And you've taught this old dog some new tricks, and I appreciate it. I know you have a very specific method that you follow with your clients that you're going to share with everyone today. Kind of walk us through what, here we are at the new year. Do we make these financial resolutions, or is there a better path? And I know the answer to that, but I'm going to let you walk through that.
Yeah, and I think everyone should do some sort of resolutions. It doesn't have to be at the new year. I think people like that because it's a fresh start, and so you got through this year, and let's look to the next one. I like that. It's a positive way of looking at it. But some of the things that happen with these resolutions is maybe they're too general, or maybe they're just unrealistic. So you set a goal, and there's just no way you can even accomplish that, right? Or, excuse me, maybe you set a really great goal, but there's no way to really measure, are you actually progressing towards that, right? So we love the financial resolutions. It goes a lot with us because we really try to set goals, especially around years anyway. So it goes hand in hand with that. But maybe let's make something that's measurable, that is realistic. So maybe having something you can check in on with someone else, maybe get some ideas. And then the last part is just having something that's a little bit more specific than, here I wrote down the top New Year's resolutions that get you nowhere. How's that for clickbait, right? And so like number 3 on that list, pay off debt. I think that's a lot of people's New Year's resolutions, pay off debt. Well, if you think about that, that's really general. So let's make it more specific. Pay off all my debt. Okay, now that might be a little too unrealistic.
It's a tall hill to climb.
It could be. I don't know. But we at least made it a little specific.
Right. Sure.
Okay, so that's unrealistic. Let's maybe take it back and say pay off some debt. Okay, well, now we're back in the general again, right? So just trying to play the game of, what is the best type of resolution for me that matches with my financial goals. So beyond that, what we really like to do is we have a whole checklist, and that's kind of how we like to do it. We have a checklist. It's got 52 different questions. I counted them earlier.
Yeah, and if they're watching this video, they have that checklist in their hands.
That's right. And so when you go through it, it does a great job of trying to ask those questions. That's really what it's trying to do. Get you thinking about what specific goals can we set that are accomplishable, and that means something. And it's a good job of adding ideas, because there's a lot of things that maybe you're not thinking about on here. And then again, something you can measure while you're going through that. So that's the way we really like to do it, because then it matches up with a theme or a topic of what you're doing in your personal life too, right? All right, and then excuse me, the last part of that is we really recommend getting some help with this type of a thing. So this is one resource. A lot of people, you can go to Google, you can use ChatGPT to your heart's content and get as many different ideas as you want. But other ideas that we thought about would be maybe reaching out to your accountant or CPA, and just kind of matching, here's what I'm thinking. Are these good? Is there something I'm missing? Or reaching out to your advisor or MSMF with us. This is something that we do with all of our clients. We send this out once a year of, here's a bunch of ideas. What do you want to do? And then we like to add a couple things. Okay, you mentioned this, but have you thought about this? This might be important based on what we know about you, you might want to think about this too.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I would say what the beauty, from my perspective, of the checklist and why I was so drawn to it when you showed me how you were using it with your clients is, our most people, by and large, they're smart, right?
Right.
They may not necessarily have a huge amount of expertise in money, and they may. The challenge that we see, the three of us are in this all day, every day. This is our expertise. The challenge we see sometimes is our clients don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
So to say I'm going to make some financial resolutions for the new year, unless they're very well versed in all aspects of finance, sometimes they don't know what they should look at. And what I love about the checklist is it covers everything, and you're going to get a lot of, oh, wow, hadn't thought about that. Check that off, right? And as opposed to sitting down and writing it out, it is an easy and quick way to do it.
right. I agree.
So, gentlemen, I appreciate your insights. Thank you for expanding upon what was in the January financial wellness article. Again, think about kind of your relationship with money and your money scripts or your imprinting. I will say that the greatest gift that you can give to your children, to your grandchildren, is a healthy relationship with money. And again, jump on this checklist. You need help. The same text line you use to get a copy of the video or link to the video and a copy of the checklist, you can text and say, I would like someone to call me. Please feel free to share this with your friends and family. And please continue to enjoy Kirkwood Lifestyle Magazine, because I know there's a bunch of really cool content that's going to come all next year. So keep reading, and thanks for watching.